So in this video, we want to revisit the example from the previous video, but we want to use technology to construct the confidence interval. So just as a quick review, a December 2019 Gallup poll asked 1,025 adult Americans about how many times in the past year, if any, did you go to a library. Results of the survey indicated that X bar equaled 10.5 visits, assuming S equals 15.2 visits, construct a 95% confidence interval for the mean number of visits to the library by adult Americans and interpret this interval. Well, we're going to focus on using technology to construct the confidence interval. We've already done the rest of the problem in the previous video, so we're just really interested here in how do we go about constructing the confidence interval with technology. So first of all, I'm going to bring in the calculator and show you how to do this on the calculator. So on the calculator, we're going to use another statistical test, very similar to how we did this when we were dealing with proportions. So I'm going to go to Stat and Tests. Now this time we're constructing a confidence interval for a population mean. And if you'll remember, I mentioned in the previous video that that's often referred to as a t-interval, and that is in fact the command that we're going to use. On my calculator, it's number 8. It could be in a different location on your calculator, but it should be t-interval. So I'm going to select number 8, t-interval. Now when I select this command, the first thing that I have to do is input the information into the calculator, and I have two options for being able to do that. Either I will have data or I will have statistics. Statistics means the summary information. I will be telling the calculator exactly what the mean and the standard deviation from the sample are and so on. So in this case, I have statistics. I don't have actual data. In the event that we have data, we would first put that data into one of the lists in the calculator, and then we would tell the calculator which list we put the data in. So in this case, I'm choosing the stat option. X bar, we were told in the setup of the problem, is 10.5 visits to the library. The standard deviation was 15.2 visits to the library. The sample size was 1,025. And we were supposed to construct a 95% confidence level. So I've entered all of that. If I choose calculate, then the calculator gives me the confidence interval. So I'm getting 9.5684 to 11.432. So our calculator, again, the result is saying 9.5684 and 11.432. If I round that to two places, that agrees with the results we obtained by hand, 9.57 to 11.43. So we do get the same result using the calculator in this case that we did with the by hand approach. Now I do want to point out that sometimes there can be a little bit of discrepancy depending on the rounding, particularly if we're given rounded values such as this. There can be some discrepancy, but usually it's not significant. In order to use StatCrunch to construct the confidence interval for the population mean, I choose Stat and T-stats. We use T-stats because we use the t-distribution to construct a confidence interval for a population mean. When I select that option, I get three choices here: one sample, two sample, or paired. In this case, we have one sample. When I select one sample, I have the options very similar to the same options that we had when we were constructing confidence intervals for proportions. I have the with data option, with summary information option, and then I have the two sample size options. Well, in this case, we do have summary information, which means that we have the calculated statistics already. So I'm selecting that. So I'm going to fill that in. The sample mean, we were told, is 10.5. The sample standard deviation was 15.2, so I fill that in. The sample size, 1,025, fill that in. What am I trying to perform? Well, we want a confidence interval for mu, so I'm going to select that bullet and fill in the level of confidence, which is 0.95, which is there by default for us. So all I have to do now is select compute. And so when I do that, I have the lower limit here and the upper limit. The lower limit is 9.5683702, so rounding to two places, that is 9.57. And the upper limit is 11.43163, rounding to two places, that is 11.43, which is the same result that we obtained both with the calculator and by hand. So we're 95% confident that the true mean for the number of visits in the last year to the library by adult Americans is somewhere between 9.57 and 11.43 visits.